Thank you, everyone, and thank you all for joining us. It's my great pleasure to introduce and host this conversation with Faizan Ahmed, who is a visual artist, photojournalist, and a storyteller based in Lahore. I'm sure many of you already know this, but his remarkable book that we are here to celebrate and talk about, Lahore by Metro, is an astonishing project and has met with astonishing success. But a little bit more about Faizan before we move on to the book. His photos Faizan's photos and journalism work has been featured in places like The Guardian, BBC Urdu, Express Tribune, Daily Times, among other places. Lahore by Metro, as we all know, has been a smashing success, right? It's a book that received a huge response on a Kickstarter campaign that Faizan started. Has sold over 1,500 copies so far, which is a big number for a photo book, which usually have tiny print runs, especially in Pakistan. Has readers in over 23 countries. It's also a book that has an extraordinary story for the odds that it faced and overcame. It's a book that is authored by someone who had no formal training in photography, could not find a local publisher or an international publisher for that matter. It had no funders, right, to support its expensive production, because photo book production is notoriously expensive. And it had no designers. Faizan did everything from the beginning to the end, and had no marketing or distribution networks. So, to reach where it reached is quite a story. And I think that this session will be designed to share that story with you, and make you realize that extraordinary things can happen if people are imaginative, they are humble, they're polite, they persevere. Faizan himself comes from an extremely humble background. He was raised in Okara, and came to Lahore for the first time in 2013. And the book, in large part, it comes out of his sincere effort to make sense of this huge metropolis of Lahore, and to connect with people of Lahore, because you can understand, coming from a completely different social background, you find yourself in this huge space surrounded by strangers, and how do you make sense of the city? And I think Faizan's approach is quite wonderful. He decides to connect with people he did not know at all, and tries to find their stories, and that's what his work highlights. As I mentioned in passing earlier, Faizan had no formal training in photography or journalism or any other skill that went into the making of this extraordinary book. And he's entirely self-taught in all of these skills. This book has been described, has received praise from people all over the world. Mohsin Hamid describes this as an amazing project. Mohammed Hanif says that it shows a Lahore as I've never seen before, young, energetic, and in a hurry. But the quote that I think really captures the remarkable qualities of this book is by Isambard Wilkinson, who says there is more of Pakistan here in its pages, with its heartbreak, hope, and joy than 100 other books. And I think that that's true. I think that, you get small glimpses of stories in this book. And the book is right here, by the way. You get small glimpses of people's lives, but it kind of opens these windows about possibilities that you would not imagine in a city like Lahore. I know Faizan personally, and I for one have witnessed, his struggles in this journey to achieve this astonishing success that he has with his book. And as I mentioned, the book has readers all over the world now, and has sold in large numbers. So I'm going to, let Faizan speak and share his journey. And perhaps a good place to start might be to ask Faizan, how does it feel? And, being here, where you are now with so many readers and so many people who have the book in their hands and have written to you and, celebrated this book, which is a unique and extraordinary book for Pakistan.
Thank you so much for good introduction and Lahore Literary Festival for organizing this talk. Well, it feels so good, like you dream of something and you working on a long project, and during years I thought this project will never see the light and it will never publish, and now so many people are approaching me. I'm talking to different universities, like Kickstarter campaign has been backed by Brandon Stanton and so many people from Oxford and country and different people like these. So it feels so good, especially when you have never even picked a camera and you started camera and with this project, and then you learn camera. And then when I moved to Lahore in 2013, I was taking picture with blur picture. I don't know which is the best picture. I even don't know which is the best story. I was learning by doing and with practice. So this also good now. So many people are approaching me to work for them. Like recently Al Jazeera approached me to work for them. There are some government people in Pakistan who are approaching me so I can work on young and entrepreneur field. So it feels so good to that the book has been shipped in different countries and people are supporting me. That it feels so good that when you are dealing with these stories and stories of people, and so many people are reading that story of connecting with so many people just because of you, and that feels so much good.
No, the book is really, as I said, has amazing stories. But let's just start with the story of your book, which I think is tied to your own story coming to Lahore at some point. So tell us about the genesis of the book. How did it all start?
Well, when in 2013, I moved to Lahore in late 2013, and the metro project introduced in Lahore, launched in Lahore in early 2013. So this was like everyone coming to Lahore wanted to sit on the metro bus. And when I moved to Lahore, and I came to know that my university way is metro bus, the best way. So I started traveling in the metro bus, and this was so great. Like in my village, I used to go school on cycle, and for college, I used to sit on the bus, local bus, and have to go in other city. Like metro is more than just and other side metro is more than just a public transport system. Like it is place of joy. You are connecting and seeing people from different area. Like even people like me, when you are coming from a small town, you just meet the people from a town. But when you are coming in a city and traveling with so many people, and you connect all over the Pakistan as well as other tourists. So like the people, if one day if I am meeting someone from Karachi and the next day I'm meeting someone from Quetta. So I was taking this picture and sharing on my Instagram blog with similar name, Lahore by Metro. And then in 2015, I won a gold medal from Amiruddin Medical College, Lahore. And then I got to know that Faizan is going to be a photographer. And I was taking more serious to my photography. Like when I started, people...
Faizan, let me interrupt. And I think that perhaps it might be useful for us to separate this thread of, you and the camera and your story with the camera, right? So how, so let's just take a step back and think, tell us a little bit about how did you discover the camera in the first place? You said that you were taking blurry pictures earlier on with a phone camera maybe, but I think that you might want to, explicate on that a little bit, and then, you can connect back to this moment of winning a competition.
Okay, so it was like just I was taking picture, and then I heard about a competition there in Lahore. So I thought I should send any of my image. I printed that image and sent for a competition. And then I just wanted to participate in that, even to learn so which are best picture. So these kind of so my name appeared, and I never thought that my mobile image can win a gold medal. So that is where it started of cap.
But what was your first camera that you used to take pictures?
So when I moved to Lahore in 2013, I was just using Nokia camera without even camera. I was using a mobile without even camera. If you read the book you will see that how I was just observing stories. I am traveling every day, and then I bought like Sky 830. It's like a very cheap camera. You probably not heard name. And then I was practicing with that camera. And when I post the picture on social media, people commented that, is this photo taken by calculator? Like, so this kind of criticizing, and I was learning each day. And then after a few months, then I shifted to an iPhone camera, and I started all the taking picture with the simple mobile phone camera. And so, yeah.
No, but the other really extraordinary thing, and and we will talk about this later on, but I just want to highlight this. The really extraordinary thing is that most of the pictures in this book have been taken with an iPhone camera. So no fancy gadgets, no expensive production equipment. And I think that that's really a testament to the resourcefulness that Faizan had, using whatever little means he had at his disposal. Faizan, you want to share that moment in the competition when you got the jury award, and the jury basically asked you what camera did you use to take that picture? Would you have that picture at hand by any chance? I don't know if you do.
No, that picture is from a different from Expo Center, that children playing.
Correct.
That picture is not in the book. So I was just observing all the picture in the and visiting the university and seeing the work of other students, because I wanted to learn about those people who are learning photography in university, and I wanted to learn from their work. And I thought, if my name will appear in the competition, it will be always in third position. And in third position there was a girl from NCA, and in second position there was a boy from BNU. And then when they announced my name, that I thought it might be a different Faizan. And then my image appeared on the stage. And so this was unreal, where all this started.
Okay, so then, but tell us a little bit about the process of you photographing these strangers. I mean, that's one of the most intimidating things for most people. Approaching strangers, asking them about their personal stories, and also asking them to be photographed. I mean, all of these things are extremely intimate, and people, especially in our part of the world, are extremely hesitant to share their personal details, as well as especially women. I think that you have some exceptional stories of women, and so can you share some of your tips of the trade, or tricks of the trade rather, about how did you approach these strangers, and how did you get them to share these intimate details with you?
Okay, so I always just thought that before approaching someone, I always make this point in my mind that Faizan, people will reject you, that people will tell you no. Then the places like metro bus, you meet from 1,000 people surrounding you, and if someone is saying you they are not. Comfortable sharing about their story, or they are not comfortable about the sharing their photograph, and I don't ask them for another time. I always ask to another person. Then I did one thing, that if there are women who is struggling to understand metro ecosystem and wanted to own the station, and I always help people by telling them how they can vote token, which direction. Then I offered people my seat, and then I always trade people with this. I always offered my seat to different people. Then they sit on my seat, and then I ask them question, and people always listen when you help them. Like, it is like a quick process, but I always now know that. Now after talking with thousands and hundreds of people, I know that which person is going to talk you. People that Lahore is famous, that Lahore is people famous, that how people can be talkative and how people can be open up. Another thing, that I people choose to tell me story because no one asks them such question, like we even there no, like I ask people what is your happiest moment of life, what are you struggling like now, that they often think, and they told their story, and it's always surprised.
Well, I want us to see some of your pictures, and I think I'm sure audience would love to see some of your pictures. But before that, I just want to, before that, I want you to preface that by simply telling us, like, what is your lead question, right? How do you open the conversation? I'm sure you don't begin by saying, what is your happiest moment in your life as your first question?
Yeah, no, it's not. I just ask them where they are coming from. If they are coming from a small town like me, they told this story how they are struggling. Even I'm not telling my subject that I'm going to for an interview. I just start a conversation, and my conversation is like behind in my mind. I know it is interview, so people are comfortable about conversation, and they open up and told. Then if they are telling about their struggle, then I ask them if the person is struggling from this all struggle. Then I ask them what is your happiest day of life, what was your saddest day, or any best memory you wanted to share, and these kind of question. And sometimes you will just read a one line in the book, and behind the story the subject told me a very big story, and at the end they told me that not to share that all story. So that's why all the stories are so interesting and close to my heart, just because I know the behind the story, and I know that if a woman told me a long story, and she also told me that just not to share that story in the book. So because when you are dealing with the people stories, you have to respect their words, you have to respect their value. And about the picture, like mostly women, you will see the less women in the book. And so because they are not comfortable, and especially in a public place, you ask to a woman about their picture, and so many men are seeing me engaging the woman. So that is always difficult, but I was learning that. And so there are metro workers now, after traveling in the metro bus years, women of travel worker know me that, and they shared about their story. And one of the interesting thing about that if someone, I met someone, and the next 2 years I met him again, that when they are telling me a different story. So I was learning about storytelling, and their story was growing. They told me, Fizan, पहले वो हो रहा था और अब ये हो रहा है. तो इस तरह से चीजें थी. जैसे मतलब मेरी मोस्ट फेवरेट स्टोरी इसमें से ये है कि एक अंकल थे जिनको जो 50 साल के थे, और मैंने उनसे पूछा कि व्हाट इज योर हैप्पीएस्ट डे ऑफ लाइफ. और उन्होंने बताया कि बेटा 5 साल पहले मेरे फादर ऑस्ट्रेलिया से आए थे और उनको मैं 50 साल बाद मिला था। मैं जब छोटा बच्चा था तो वो ऑस्ट्रेलिया मूव हुए थे और हमारे पास कभी इतनी सेविंग ही नहीं थी कि वो पाकिस्तान आके अपने बच्चों को देख सके। सो ही मेट हिज फादर आफ्टर 50 years and he told me this story and then he was crying and so these kind of people told me a small part about their life. Then another favorite stories of
Do you
working.
want to share some of these stories, Faizan? Like, do you have like can you share your screen perhaps and, share some of the work that you have? Perhaps we can put it on screen and then you can run us through some of these stories.
Let me just share. I guess I'm unable to share this, but I can show in the book some of those stories. Like there, these 4 stories are also like I met this Malang and I asked him a question, Uncle, where are you?
Hold up the book.
So I asked this uncle that where are you coming from, and he was going to Data Darbar, and from his appearance we can just see him Malang, and he told me, बेटा आप मुझे मलंग जस्ट समझ रहे हैं, मेरी बेटी ने अभी कल ही एमए इंग्लिश पास किया है और मेरा वो लाइफ का खुशी का दिन था। मतलब एक मलंग आपको इस तरह की चीज बता रहे हैं। एंड देन he had picture of her daughter in his purse, and it was so amazing to see the thing that we are seeing people from different appearance, and then they are their story. And then there is other favorite story of working women who work in a metro station at Gajumata, and उनके हस्बैंड ने उनको तलाक दी हुई थी और वो अपने बच्चों को लेके लाहौर आ गई हैं और वो मेट्रो में काम कर रही हैं। अपने उनके बच्चे कॉलेज जा रहे हैं और वो मुझे बता रही है कि
want to show that image as well, Faizan? It's okay. Take a second and look for the. I'm sure you can find it quickly.
So, like there are so many stories. Like there is story of this boy. He came from Mansehra, and he told me that in 2005 earthquake we lost everything, and with his father and with his mother he moved to Lahore and started his life again. So and they started everything, and he worked in the metro station, and his mother is working as a tailor, and now he's living happy life. And like किस तरह से लोग आ रहे हैं अपनी एक नए एरिया में आ रहे हैं और दोबारा से लाइफ स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं, इस तरह की चीजें।
Amazing. I want us to see, before we move into the Kickstarter thing, I want us to watch the video that you made for the Kickstarter. But I think you are unable to share screen. So I think maybe I should try and play that video on my screen. Because I think that we want to move the conversation to this amazing moment where you basically launch this Kickstarter. But before we start doing that, I mean, maybe it's a good idea to play this video. Let me try and share my screen. Faizan, is that your screen that you are sharing?
Yes, my screen, and I think.
Okay. So are you going to play or should I play?
I can play.
Okay, excellent.
Talking to strangers, connecting with them on a personal level is always challenging. It gets more interesting when you do this in a country like Pakistan, where some people think that being photographed is against some of the values, especially for women.
We'll have to pause the video because I don't think the video is
About
playing.
their life. But that is something which I did for every day.
Video is not playing.
are your shooting ground. Is
Can you
always fun.
stop sharing your screen and then reshare because we can't see your video?
Oh,
You have to,
shit.
no problem, just do it again. Don't worry.
Can you see now? Can you see now? Can you see the video now?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Yes, it's fine now.
Talking to strangers, connecting with them on a personal level is always challenging. It gets more interesting when you do this in a country like Pakistan, where some people think that being photographed is against some of the values, especially for women, asking them deep personal questions about their life. But that is something which I did for every day. And when metro stations are your shooting ground, you always find interesting people from different walks of life. My name is Faizan Ahmed, and 5 years ago, when I first moved to Lahore from my small village, I started going to college using metro bus and gradually started talking to the fellow passengers. And I also started taking pictures. Initially, I was hesitant and somewhat shy, but then the more people I talked to, the easier it became, and the stories and some of those moments were just amazing. Metro is a place where all kinds of people come together, starting their day, and you never know who you're going to talk to and what they have to tell you about their life, or a day in a few words. My book is the result of 5 years of conversation with passengers like these. They not just represent Lahore, but they too tell a compelling story of Pakistan. Like an old couple that's visiting Lahore for the first time. This is their first time they have visiting a big city. An inspiring story of a working woman who is raising 3 kids while they're all going to school. These are the people, when I speak with them, I understand why Lahore Lahore. Combined with intimate portraits, these stories are powerful of dreams hitting reality and hope for the next day. And often they will put a smile on your face. The project has completely transformed me as a person and also as an artist. My hope is that the book will do the same to you, and it will touch the readers and introduce you to some new stories about Lahore, its culture, and the people who are finding and building their world here. You can help Lahore by Metro Book become a reality by backing it here on Kickstarter. You get special discount rates. Please also share this video with your friends and help me bring my first book to the life. Thank you for your time and for your support.
That was great. Thank you. So before, we kind of reach this Kickstarter point, I'm glad that, some of these images that are part of the book are, our audience have been able to see. So Faizan, I'll just share an interlude. I met Faizan in this period when he had not only shot so many images and compiled all of these stories, but he had actually through his personal resourcefulness, had made a book out of it. So this book was in a dummy form when I met Faizan, and Faizan approached me after a book talk, that I had organized. And he said, I have a photo book and I'm interested in finding a publisher. Can you help me? And I said, I'm not a publisher, but sure, let's talk and come meet me, and which Faizan did. And we started a conversation, and I saw a young man who is who is driven, but at the same time extremely humble, who is extremely polite, and who perseveres, and who is willing to take risks, who is willing to go wrong. So I worked with Faizan for 3 years now. Our association and friendship is 3 years old. And I kind of guided Faizan in different directions. And in fact, at some point I told Faizan that, you have to let go of this book and start to develop your own portfolio as an artist, perhaps apply to a photography school, and then, come back to it later. But Faizan, is, as I said, he's humble, he's polite, but he's also extremely driven, and he perseveres. So he kind of ignored my advice, which is fantastic. I'm so happy that you did that, Faizan. And carried on with this dream. He made this video that you just saw, which is beautifully done, professionally done. And he started this Kickstarter page that and launched it out into the world. Did his own outreach, through whatever networks he had cultivated over the years. And found enough backers. In fact, not found enough backers. He initially planned to. He needed $5,000 to bring his dream to life, but in fact, he ended up raising $20,000, which is 4 times his his initial target. So it's quite extraordinary what Faizan was able to do. Faizan, tell us about your struggles with finding a publisher. So, but even like creating a book out of these myriad stories that you found. How did you create the book out of it? Because I think that itself is quite a story. That how you find a designer, how you got a cover designer, all of that.
So I had a mentor from National Geographic who always I reach out through online, and they told me, Faizan, which picture is better and how to put picture together in a dummy book and which picture are better for cover. And then after a dummy book, I reached out to different publishers in Pakistan, and they always told me, Faizan, your idea is so good, but we cannot publish your book just because art books are expensive. And they are also telling me, Faizan, if you can collect some money, we can then publish your book. So I was other side, I was seeing other option, and I came to know Kickstarter platform, and last 2 years I was connecting with the people who other has published book on Kickstarter, like in USA and in Australia and in UK. And then I told me, this is my idea, and I always wanted to publish my book and start a campaign on Kickstarter. And they were helping me and telling me how to reach out media and which people find your community, connect the people in Pakistan and as well as international. So many people online and offline helping me to learn about Kickstarter campaign. And when the pandemic began, I thought that everyone is using internet more than they used before this, and it was the time I was home and I made this video, and you can see in the video like my old face and then my new face, and then I had a clip, and then I launched this on Kickstarter campaign with just a friend who is working with me. So so many people from Pakistan who are now living in USA and UK and other, they thought that we saw this video and it seemed like we are in our home. So they liked my idea and they wanted to buy the books. So many people from different universities, different countries, like someone a Lahori who is living in China, and other Lahori or Pakistani who is living in Indonesia, and they are buying my book. So that's why Kickstarter was successful, and this was even more successful if I even could find a publisher in Pakistan.
That's true, actually. I think that the success that this book met is much greater than what it would have been met with had you found a publisher. Sorry, we'll just let this alarm, this siren pass. I want us to speak a little bit about. Can you hear me? Fine.
Yes, we can hear.
I want to speak a little bit about your process. These photos, most of these photos were taken on an iPhone, but we all know, publishing them is a different ball game. You need a much higher quality image, So how did that go? Like, how did you, convert all of those images to something that can be published in a book?
So up in 2015, I apply at a Pakistan Photo Festival, and I know that their mentor are from all over world, and they had even mentor from National Geographic and so many working on a good organization, and they helped me. And I even before compiling this book, I even don't know which is my best picture and which are even the picture you can see on the cover. I was even not choosing this picture, and then one of my mentor saw all the picture on Instagram, and he thought, Faizan, why not to choose this picture, and what is the tell me the story of this picture. And then the book I made was the helping of so many amazing people who was helping online and offline without expecting anything in return. And so I connect the people through even best amazing people like Asim Rafiki and so many other, and they told me that how to compile. And then I choose this picture, and because I have around 1,000 picture, and I made my first folder, and there was around 8 to 9,000 picture, and then I was selecting from those picture, and then I around it like printed around 7,000 picture, and then I was seeing that which picture is good in the quality and which picture is not. This is how I was knowing and struggling to make this book.
Wow, that's quite extraordinary. Okay. I have a couple of other questions, but I think that we can move to the audience questions. But just one last question: like, what are your lessons learned? Like, what are your takeaways from this project that you've spent? And I don't know how many years now, 7 years, 8 years of your life doing this. This project
Yeah.
has really made you the artist that you are.
Yeah, even I'm still traveling in the metro bus and still taking interview, and I automatically, if I am sitting, not even few weeks ago, I was in Iran, and I was asking people about their life story, and I am not sure what I will do about those stories, but it always in my heart. I always ask people questions. So the most thing that what I have learned about
But
life.
let me just interrupt here and just add for the benefit of people watching that there is an Instagram page that Faizan runs. It's called Lahore by Metro, and it continues to be updated with newer stories that Faizan is still. And again, that tells you that this is not something that Faizan did. I don't know, as a publicity gimmick. In fact, it's a passion project. Faizan continues to build on what he's done, and he continues to collect these stories that some of which have gone into the book. But sorry, Faizan, carry on. You were telling us about your lesson.
What I have learned about life as it lived versus as is depicted in the media. The story Pakistani media tell about its common people has always been same, especially because those channels are overtaken by politician and religion scholarship, and common people like traveling in the metro bus and traveling in the street has represented by its number, not by the story they are living every day. So the project is an effort listening and highlighting such passenger story, diversity story. These stories might not be worthy of prime television talk show, but they are meaningful and beautiful remind that how we live and how we live in the face of diversity and challenging the people going through.
No, this absolutely. I think the book is a very important corrective to how we imagine the Pakistani public and the ideas that they hold about how to live their lives and what is a good life. And I think that certainly comes through again and again. I mean, I think it's a really moving book in many respects. But I think that we should just move on to the audience question. There is an audience question.
Sure.
That says, Faizan, have you ever been faced with agony from people which totally broke you down at that moment? Because in our country, people are mostly conservative and it's confusing for them to agree on giving a picture. We understand what this means. So I think that
Yeah. Mm.
have you faced any difficulty in doing
Yeah. Every day I face such things, but every day I told myself, Faizan, you are going to do this thing over and over. Like in Canal Station, there is a Punjab college, and afternoon the girls came across from the subway. So I reached out to one of the person, and then I was standing with a girl, and she was telling me about their story, her struggle coming from a small village like me. And then there is a guard who came me, and he hold my camera, and he thought that, Faizan, what are you doing? What are you doing this? Why you are standing with this girl? And even girls who are comfortable. And then there is other incident like a woman who was struggling with her daughter. उसकी बेटी बड़ी ज्यादा रो रही थी और वो मेट्रो में उसको संभाल रही थी, तो मैंने उसकी पिक्चर लेना चाहिए, स्पेशली क्योंकि हर आदमी उसकी तरफ देखी जा रहा था। तो मुझे लगा कि इसमें शायद वुमेन की पावर को दिखाना चाहिए, किस तरह से वुमेन बच्चों को संभालते हैं। और उस तरह जब मैंने उनकी पिक्चर ली तो वो पहले ही गुस्से में थी, तो मेरे पास वो आ गई और उसने काफ़ी ज़्यादा मतलब लाउड बोला, एंड आई थिंक वो ठीक भी थी। और इस तरह मैं भी सीख रहा था किस तरह से लोगों से अप्रोच करना है, किस तरह से लोगों के साथ डील करनी है, और ये सारी चीज़ें थी। लेकिन बहुत सी कभी कभी ये होता है कि लोग अपनी स्टोरी तो शेयर कर देते हैं एंड दे आर नॉट कंफर्टेबल इन द पिक्चर। और कभी ये भी होता है कि लोगों की स्टोरीज के साथ मैं उन्हीं के स्टेशन में जा रहा होता हूँ, उन्हीं के डिफरेंट स्टेशन में, क्योंकि मैंने अपने स्टेशन उतरना होता था अपनी यूनिवर्सिटी के लिए, लेकिन मैं उनके पास आगे तक जाता था उनकी स्टोरी सुनने के लिए, और एट द एंड वो मुझे बता रहे होते, नहीं आप इसको शेयर नहीं कर सकते, आप इसकी पिक्चर नहीं ले सकते। सो दिस काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स I was
So how did you get their consent to share this or make these part of the book? Did they know that this was going to be featured in some sort of a book?
मोस्टली मैं उनको ये बता देता था कि उनको इंस्टाग्राम बता देता था कि आपसे पहले मैंने ये काफी ज्यादा और लोग हैं जिनकी स्टोरीज ली, और जब वो देखते थे कि उन्हीं तरह की काफी ज्यादा पिक्चर मेरे पास हैं और उनकी स्टोरीज हैं, तो वो अपनी पिक्चर दे देते थे। मसलन कभी कभी ये होता था कि मैं उनसे स्टोरी नहीं भी पूछ रहा होता था, तो उनकी स्टोरी मेरे सामने वो फॉर एग्जाम्पल बहावल नगर से 2 लोग आए हुए थे और वो मेट्रो बस में बैठे हुए थे अपने ही ड्रेस में, उन्होंने ड्रेस पहने हुए थे और तरह के। तो वो मैंने कहा अब क्या करने हैं, तो कह रहे हमें कोई लाहौर काम नहीं है, असी तो बस लाहौर दियां बत्तियां ही देखने आए हैं। तो इस तरह के लोग थे, और वो खुद से एंजॉय कर रहे होते हैं, वो खुद से ऊंची ऊंची बात कर रहे होते हैं, तो वो उनकी स्टोरीज थी जो इस तरह से है।
Very nice. Well, I mean, are there any other questions from the audience? Is there more that Faizan can field? More questions? No more questions. Faizan, thank you so much. This was such a pleasure. Do you want to share, some of the images that go and that have gone into the making of this book? I think now we have figured out the share screen, so perhaps that would be a good note. Can you share from your computer, because I think that that might be an better quality. And feel free to share the stories that go with those images.
Okay, just give me 1 minute. Can you see the picture?
Yes.
Okay.
Beautiful. Yes, perfect.
So like you can see in the picture there are so many people. अगर किसी एक ने आपको कह दिया कि they are not comfortable about their picture और story, और आप हमेशा दूसरे लोगों के साथ कनेक्ट हो जाते हैं, क्योंकि मेट्रो की तरह की जगह में या जो पब्लिक स्पेस है वहाँ पे बहुत लोगों की डाइवर्सिटी होती है, वैरायटी होती है, आप हमेशा लोगों के साथ कनेक्ट हो जाते हैं। इवन आप कभी कभी कनेक्ट नहीं भी होना चाह रहे होते, आप फिर भी कनेक्ट हो जाते हैं, वो आपके साथ खड़ा होता है वो, क्योंकि इस तरह की प्लेसेस में। और ये कपल को मैं मिला और ये बड़े खूबसूरती से उनका हाथ पकड़ा हुआ था, और वो बार बार उनको पूछ रही थी कि तुसी थकते नहीं गए हो, तुसी थकते नहीं गए हो, दाता साहब आने वाला है। तो इनकी मैंने स्टोरी नहीं पूछी, वो जस्ट उनकी कन्वर्सेशन ही एक स्टोरी थी जो उनकी लाइफ के बारे में बता रही थी, वो कहाँ से आ रहे हैं। और ये मैंने काफी टाइम उस वक्त पिक्चर कैप्चर की। और ये लोग थे इस तरह से, मतलब वो जस्ट लाहौर में मेट्रो में सफर ही नहीं कर रहे, बल्कि उसको देख रहे हैं कि ये एक नई चीज है। वो शायद अपने गांव में नॉर्मल बसेस में बैठते हैं, क्योंकि आप देखेंगे जब यूएस में बहुत सी बुक्स होती हैं, सबवे बुक रिव्यू और इस तरह से बहुत सी बुक्स होती हैं। ये मैंने पिक्चर अरफा बिल्डिंग के उसके छत पे जाके कैप्चर की थी। इवन ये भी आईफोन की पिक्चर है, जस्ट मतलब उस टाइम पे कैप्चर हुई थी कि उसका आप देख सकते बारिश आ रही थी इसमें। और मैंने इनसे पूछा कि आपकी कोई बात बताएं अपनी, तो उन्होंने कहा था कि उनकी बेटी जब वो पैदा हुई थी तो वो उनका बड़ा खुशी का दिन था। और तो इस तरह से लोग नीचे बैठे होते हैं मेट्रो बस में, और कोई किधर से आ रहा है। और इनसे मैंने पूछा कि आप लोग बड़े होके क्या बनना चाह रहे हैं, और ये हाफिज थे, और ये मेट्रो बस में जिस सफर के लिए पता नहीं मस्त मदरसा जाने के लिए मेट्रो बस में आए हुए थे। और लोग इस तरह से बैठे होते हैं जस्ट जॉय के लिए, उनको एक तो उनके पास जब बैठता हूँ तो वो अपनी स्टोरी भी शेयर कर देते हैं। और फिर कुछ इस तरह की पिक्चर थी जिनमें मुझे पता चला कि विच इज द बेस्ट पिक्चर, और इस तरह की मैंने पिक्चर कैप्चर की। और ये पर्सन जिनका शेडो आप देख रहे हैं, और वो मेरे पास खड़े थे और मेरे से बात कर रहे थे, और उन्होंने पानी पिया। मैंने सोच सामने देखा तो दूसरी तरफ वो भी थे, तो उनकी पिक्चर मैंने कैप्चर कर दी। तो इनसे मैंने पूछा कि आप कहाँ जा रहे हैं, और उन्होंने बताया कि हम अभी कहीं स्विमिंग के लिए जा रहे हैं। और मैंने कहा कि आप अपने दोस्त की कोई बात बताएं। तो उन्होंने कहा कि जब आपके कोई दोस्त होते हैं तो आप उनकी कोई इस तरह से बात नहीं करते जो आपको ज्यादा सही नहीं लगती। और मैंने इन खातून से पूछा कि कोई स्टोरी बताएं, तो वो कहती क्या बेटा आपको स्टोरी बताऊं, सब रिंग्स में एक अपनी अपनी स्टोरी है, तो मैं आपको कौन सी स्टोरी बताऊं। और ये मीनार पाकिस्तान के पास थे, और यहाँ से आप क्योंकि आज़ादी स्टेशन इज मोर लाइक जस्ट अ स्टेशन, वहाँ पे टूरिस्ट आ रहे होते हैं, बादशाही मॉस्क, मीनार पाकिस्तान, और ये चीजें देख सकते। और काफी इंटरेस्टिंग चीज ये थी कि मतलब हर स्टेशन पे डिफरेंट कहानियां होती हैं। मतलब अगर आप गजुमता स्टेशन पे चले जाएं तो गांव से लोग आ रहे होते हैं, अगर आप इस स्टेशन पे भाटी स्टेशन पे चले जाएं आप दादा साहब, और इस तरह के। मतलब ये उर्स के दिनों में पिक्चर थी, और मुझे पता था कि फैजान यू आर गोइंग टू कंपाइल बुक इन नेक्स्ट मंथ, तो मैंने इन उर्स पे मैं रात को भी वहां पे रहा, क्योंकि मुझे हमेशा पता होता था कि फैजान बहुत सी पिक्चर लेता है, उनमें से बहुत थोड़ी पिक्चर अच्छी होती हैं, तो ये उनमें से एक थी। वहाँ पे ट्रांसजेंडर और गांव से लोग आ रहे हैं, ये मेट्रो के बिल्कुल पास है। और ये वहाँ पे दूध की स्पेल होती थी। ये केनाल स्टेशन के पास कैप्चर की हुई है, क्योंकि केनाल पे समर के दिनों में वहाँ पे बहुत से लोग आके रह रहे होते हैं, तो मैं उनके पास गया था। इवन खातून भी वहाँ पे आके नहा रहे होते हैं। ये गजुमता स्टेशन है जो पाकिस्तान का क्रिश्चियन सबसे बड़ा क्रिश्चियन कम्युनिटी एरिया है। तो मैं वहाँ जब स्टेशन से, जब मैं इस बुक पे काम कर रहा था, तो मैं स्टेशन से उतर के उसके सराउंडिंग एरिया में भी देखता था कि क्या हो रहा है। इस तरह से जैसे ये मुस्लिम है और ये क्रिश्चियन कम्युनिटी में काम कर रहे हैं, दे टोल्ड मी दैट दे फील प्राउड अबाउट दिस। और इस तरह का पाकिस्तान जो हमें बड़ी स्क्रीन या बड़े मीडिया पे नहीं नजर आता, ये वो पाकिस्तान है। और वो वहाँ पे गाने गा रहे होते हैं, डांस कर रहे होते हैं, और मेरी तरह के और भी जो मतलब वो क्रिश्चियन है और मेरी तरह के और भी मुस्लिम मतलब जैसे वहाँ पे रह रहे होते हैं, और वो उनको सुनने आते हैं। और ये बड़ा अच्छा होता है कि डिफरेंट रिलीजन के लोग वहाँ पे हैं। तो ये लोग अपने मदरसा जाने के लिए थे, और इन्होंने अपने लाइफ में बताया कि किस तरह से कोविड के स्टार्ट में उन्होंने स्ट्रगल की। वो फैमिली में सारी चीज़ें कर रही थी, और उनके हस्बैंड आउट ऑफ सिटी, आउट ऑफ पाकिस्तान थे, और वो सारी स्ट्रगल कर रही थी। इन्होंने बताया कि आपसे पहले किसी ने हमसे ये नहीं पूछा कि हम आपकी पिक्चर ले सकते हैं। और इस तरह से ये वो आदमी थे जो अपने फादर को 50 साल बाद मिले, और ये उनकी पिक्चर थी। और ये लोग मेट्रो बस में सो रहे होते हैं, मेट्रो बस में वो, और ये सारी चीजें।
Wow, thank you for zipping us through like this whole kind of kaleidoscope of different lives and different uh, uh, how do you say it? Different possibilities of being alive in a city like Lahore. I mean, I think it's quite extraordinary. You've given us these glimpses, and I think your book offers more. Thank you so much for sharing, your journey with us, sharing the story of this book with us. I'm sure everyone who joined us and who will watch this will find, a lot to kind of think about and a lot to feel inspired by. Actually, I think that your journey is so extraordinary. Finally, I would just like to plug the book. The book is still available. Faizan is still taking orders, and you can find details of it if you just Google Lahore by Metro book on Google. If you just Google it, you will find details on how to order. I would encourage everyone to order, send it, give it to your friends, read it, spend time with it. It's really a book of poetry. And poetry of everyday life. And as I keep saying, it's a kind of work that we've not had and we need much more of. And I'm sure that this book is going to inspire a lot of young people and a lot of young creatives, who are doing great work, but who still have not found an outlet. And Faizan is also an extremely helpful person. So I would also encourage, people who need direction, who want help, to reach out to Faizan. Faizan is an exceptionally wonderful human being. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's my pleasure to host it. As I said, it's my great pleasure to be here and have had this conversation with Faizan. And thank you, LLF, most of all, for giving us this opportunity to have this conversation. Okay, goodbye.
Okay, goodbye.